Hello again. Just read an interesting article. It's on Right Side News, the right news for Americans. I'll attach the link. You're not going to have to look for it. But it appears that Obama is probably celebrating. The title, Islamist Terror Growing and Lethality in Geography, IPT Analysis Finds. Steve Emerson and Pete Hocastra Investigative Project on Terrorism. The massacres in Brussels and Paris are only the latest salvos in a heightening and devastating threat from radical Islamists globally. They illustrate troubling and much larger trends than the Investigative Project on Terrorism, IPT, has identified in a new analysis based upon its extensive research, source, and multiple databases, including the University of Maryland Global Terrorism Database. The IPT analysis reached the following conclusions. Islamic attacks in Europe will increase over the next 18 to 24 months. Terrorism in Africa will expand numerically and geographically. Radical Islamists will further destabilize the Middle East, targeting specifically Jordan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. And jihadists will expand their efforts and focus in South and Southeast Asia. IPT research found that on average 3,284 people died in Islamist terrorist attacks only 5 years ago. Today, the average is 28,708 per year. For this report, the IP separated 4 time periods between 2001 and 2015, basing them upon similarities in the number of lethally of attacks. From 2001 to 2006, there were an average of 2,508 fatalities annually, which rose to 3,284 per year from 2007 to 2011, tripled to 9,537 per year in 2012 and 2013, and tripled again to 28,708 in the past 2 years. Terror deaths today have skyrocketed 774% since 2007 through 11 on average. The emergence and rapid success enjoyed by ISIS is an obvious cause for the spike. It is responsible for at least 10,780 deaths since 2013. The data show, however, the data highlights that the problem of Islamist terrorists is worsening beyond the reach of ISIS. The global statistics clarify that tactics employed by the United States and Western allies to counter the Islamist threats are failing, and that the threat may be much worse than what has been imagined previously. The growth in terrorist victims corresponds to a wider theater of operations of terror groups from 2001 to 2006. The threat was dispersed in areas and occurring primarily in 10 countries, including the US and Russia. By 2014 to 2015, significant Islamist terrorist activity could be found in 18 countries, with most concentrated in Africa and the Middle East. The IP analysis demonstrate that many of the new countries are those with which the U.S. has had significant engagement. More than half of all Islamist attacks since 2012 occurred in the failed state of Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, and Yemen. Looking ahead, the IPT is pessimistic that the numbers will improve in the short and medium term. They are based on the following critical trends identified in the data. And you want to go look at data, it's somewhat interesting. But there's no question that the chosen one, I think, is celebrating the success. ISIS would not exist if it wasn't for Hillary or Rotten Clinton igniting the Arab Spring and Barack Hussein Obama pulling back our military. Obama opened the gates for ISIS to emerge. They could have been taken out when they were an open desert and they were a ragtag group, but Obama did nothing other than provide support both financially, militarily, and who knows what the hell else. Obama himself has said it. I am one of them, meaning he is a Muslim. Why do you think he can't say Islamic extremists? He can't say it, nor can a number of other high-ranking members of his inner cabinet, like the CIA director John Brennan. See if John Brennan can say Islamic extremists. I'll bet you a pizza he can't, and he won't. They are part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Absolutely insane what's happened around the world ever since Barack Hussein Obama stole the Oval Office. Thanks to who? Well, thanks to the Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, who vetted someone that can't be vetted. Thanks to Elena Kagan, the Supreme Court Justice, who was an attorney who bared his past. Thanks to Eric H.Holder Jr., whose law firm helped to bury his past. You need to know more? Huh?